Creepy Cutie Crafty.
Hello and welcome back again to Creepy Cutie Crafty. Welcome back again to yet another crafting video. How are we all doing this week? I'm having a go at something that I did fairly recently and I got a fairly good reaction from it from you guys, so I feel like maybe it's a good idea to return to it. So let's see if you can work it out. You should recognise this lovely white thread from what I did last time. That's right, I'm going to have another go at doing Sashiko. I'm not going to do anything too super exciting. Last time I had to go at a couple of things. I'll post up the pictures on the screen just here. I had to go at a little tester piece just to see how the process worked, which I was quite pleased with. I also had to go at this. Now this is a picture of a denim jacket that I used Sashiko to decorate the back of it. It turned out pretty well. However, after the video I saw there were quite a few little blank spaces, so I added a little bit more and then I decided to wash it. Now I was a bit cautious about doing this because obviously white fabric, which you can see here, was probably going to get discoloured by the blue from the denim, but I decided to go for it anyway and I think it's turned out okay, as you can see here. Well, if that's not clear enough for you, I'll put another picture up on the screen here. What I was hoping to happen has happened. One of the things that annoyed me about it was that there wasn't enough contrast between the white back and the white thread. So some of the indigo dye has migrated from the jacket to the white backing. If I get the original backing here, you can see the colour is very different. And I like that because now it adds a little bit more contrast between the wave and the sky and it makes it all a little bit more clearer. I think I'm going to count that as a win. Anyway, today I'm not going to be doing anything quite so complicated as that jacket that you just saw. Today, instead of doing something big and complicated, I'm going to do almost like a sampler. I've got some pieces of scrap here, again some pieces of old trousers and things that I've cannibalized for fabric, and I'm just going to have a go at doing like 2 or 3 little patterns and see if I can make it work. I haven't done this before, so it's going to be interesting to find out, but it should be fun. Just so you know, this video is going to be part of a 2-part series. This one I'm just going to do basic stitches, and in the next one I'm going to have another go at trying to do something a bit more arty. It should be quite fun. Anyway, let's get on with it. We've got this little piece of denim fabric. It's cannibalized from an old pair of jeans. The edges are quite rough and raw, as you can see there. I'm not going to worry about that too much. I'm going to do like a square in the middle and some squares around the outside of different patterns. First thing I've got to do is draw them out. The other thing I'm going to do is add some patches of different cloth on the top. So it follows the original Sashiko style of adding up layers to make it thicker cloth, to make it weatherproof, to make it warmer and make it last longer. First thing I'm going to do is cut up some scraps. I'm going to move this to the side so I don't accidentally snip into it, because I have done that in the past, and we'll see how we go. This is a paler version of the same thing, but I can either use the front face or the back face. I think I'm going to use the back face because it gives it a nice contrast, and I'm not going to do a huge amount, just a couple of small squares here and there. And of course, I'm keeping all the scraps for future projects. Let me know in the comments, have you had a go at doing Sashiko yourself? What kind of things have you managed to create in the past? I would love to see the results. So if you want to share some pictures with me on Instagram or on Facebook, the addresses for both of my pages are in the description box down below. And of course, whilst you're there, please like and subscribe and let me know what you think. I love hearing from you guys, and let me know what future projects you would like me to have a go at. Any ideas, any suggestions? Like I say, I would love to hear from you. And then we've got these slightly more fancy, slightly more decorated pieces that I'm going to cut a few little scraps off. Of course, down in the comments you could also tell me how many things I'm getting wrong, because I know I'm not doing this technically correct, but I don't mind that. I'm just playing around and having some fun. I don't think I want to have big patches like this. I think I've got something that I like. Yeah, I think that works. Now to go around and pin it all in place. There's a couple of areas where I've got 3 layers of fabric, so I'm obviously going to be using my little palm thimble. Somebody asked me last time what this was. This is called a palm thimble. I definitely want to get a bigger and better one, but basically you can put it over your finger like this and push the needle through without it going into your hand. Alternatively, you could also use the same technique I used last time of pushing it against the table surface. Obviously, if you're doing it on your lap, don't do that. It's going to go into your knee. Very handy. A little bit tight on my fingers because my fingers are kind of chunky, but very handy nevertheless. I've got several different types of stitch in mind. I've actually even gone out and bought myself a Sashiko source book. I'm going to do like a little square in the middle and then the rest going around the outside. So I'm going to have to measure that all out. I even bought myself a patchwork square so I can do some measuring, and this will show you how organized. I even did myself a nice little plan. If you want to copy that one for your own notebooks, feel free. It's not really going to add anything to your life, I'm sure of that one. So I have a fabric marking pen here. It's air erasable, so basically you put it on and it disappears over time. And I've also got my fabric chalk. I'm going to start with just that line so that then I can come back later and add some more details and right angles and things to it. Now the thread here you can see is quite thick. It does take a bit of effort getting it through the fabric. Now last time when I did this, I've left loads and loads of knots over the back. This time I'm going to try not to do that. So I'm going to start from the outside edge. I'm going to start a few stitches in, pull it through till it's almost all the way through. And then on the back, just go back a thread and thread it through, try and get the same hole. And that should hold it in place. And it looks a lot tidier than what I was doing last time. Ow, ow. Now the thing is you can see I'm gathering it up on the back of the needle so I can put it all through in one sweep. And that helps to reduce the amount of fray you get on the thread. On the back, when I pull this through, I'm going to leave a little bit of give just to make sure that when it is washed or when it shrinks, it doesn't lose its shape so much. That's it for that line. Okay, so the next line will be going this way. Ow, wow, wow, wow. Now, when it comes to these areas here, I'm going to try and stop and go under so that I don't overlap the thread. There are only a few Sashiko patterns where that's allowed, so I'm going to try and stick to that. I'm not entirely sure how hard and fast all that is, but that's basically what I was told. Right, so that's that part done. That's just basically the outlines. The next thing I'm going to do is start marking out the areas where I'm going to do some patterns. Now, as I said before, I've got my lovely little diagram here. With these areas, I wanted to do some sort of curved bits, and with these ones, I wanted to do more straight patterns, so crosses and things. I'm going to start with this area here, and I'm going to turn it into the crisscross pattern that we see here. It's relatively simple, but it's one to start me off with. I have marked out a 1/2 inch grid of squares here. Okay, that's the first pass done. Now, as I said earlier, for most Sashiko patterns, they say don't cross over, but for this one, they do. Now this pattern is called Cutie. I'll put the word up on the screen here if you want to check it out for yourself. For this one, it's going to wind up being a series of crosses. Okay, so that's the first patch done. It's a little bit wonky here and there, but I think it looks pretty good so far. Okay, so we're on to the second bit. I've already marked out the grid here. It is on a 1/2 inch grid. I'm trying to do this so that every time I start doing the next part, it gets slightly more complicated until I completely confuse myself and then I mess up. Positive thinking. Anyway, this one is not a straight cross. It's sort of a staggered step. Once I've got my thread in hand, I'm going to get started. So it's up 2, across 1, up 2, across 1. Right then, so where do I go next? 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't think I'm going to do that one. Go up 1, across 1, up 1, across 2. 1, across 1, 2, up 1, across 2. Got a little diagram off to the side that I keep checking, hoping that I get this right. And you can see there the shape that I'm starting to construct, just that little cross there. And these crosses are all going to be interlinked. Hopefully it will look quite nice when I'm finished. Can you see that there? And that to me is quite relieving because that means I'm actually doing it right. Yay! Okay, so I think that's all done. I'm just going to give it the once over. I think that's worked out quite well. I do like the way this pattern's turned out. Now this pattern is called Jujitsu Nagi and it's supposed to be linked tens. So the Japanese symbol for 10 is a cross and it's kind of the idea that it's 10 times 10 times 10 times 10. So it's wishing luck or wishing fortune. So it kind of means prosperity. I kind of like that. As I'm doing it, I can feel how thick and how sturdy this area is because it's being stitched so tightly together. And where you've got 2 or 3 layers, it's very, very strong. And I'm going to go on to the next bit. So I'm going to be doing this one here, which is a series of interlocking circles. So for this one, I've bought some of these. These are some circle templates. The first thing I'm going to do is draw out the grid lines. For this one, it's going to be a grid of 1 inch squares, and then I'll use the circles to draw out the shapes. As this is a slightly more delicate one, I have also purchased some fabric pencils just so I can get a finer point on the area that I'm marking out. Okay, so I've done my guidelines there. You can probably see it more clearly on the black area there, where I've done circles interlocking. You'll see how we go. Again, trying to make sure that I touch this as little as possible so I can keep the outlines. And again, same as before, trying to do it so that you have a long line of single threads. So even though there's circles, I'm not going to stitch the circles, I'm going to stitch the lines where they join. Let's see how we go with this one. Trying to use a straight needle to stitch a curve in lots of running stitches is going to be interesting. So now I need to go this way, so I'm following like a wave going down the pattern. Ow! So that's that bit done. Overall, I think it looks pretty good. This particular stitch is called Shippo Tsunagi. So it's quite an old pattern and used in various cultures apparently, but quite a nice one, I think. And there's lots of other things you can do, so you can add like little flowers or little stars in the centre of the circles there. But anyway, I'm going to leave that and I'm going to come back to do the rest of it later. Okay, so we're on to the next bit here. I've already done a grid. I'm going to mark out for the next area, and this is a series of concentric circles. These are 2 centimeters square, and I'm going to go for a 4 centimeter, a 3.5, and a 3 centimeter concentric circle, sort of nested inside each other. So I'm going to get on with it. Okay, so that's ready now, as you can probably see there, and now I'm going to start stitching. Now I've done that whole row, I'm going to turn it around and do the next line of concentric circles inside. Ow! You can see from this point, basically I've completely wiped off all the yellow outlines there, so I'm playing it by eye, but it seems to be going okay. It's a little bit higgledy-piggledy, but it's still looking pretty good, I think. Okay, so that's the 4th cell finished, as you can see there. One of the things it's actually shown me is how much stiffer these threads make, because I didn't realise this before I started stitching, but this is slightly elasticated, as you can see. But this area here where I've stitched, it's much stiffer, and you can see where it started to quilt up the layers, so you can see how this would both be hard wearing and how it would have very effectively trapped heat and made the cloth a lot warmer. I think it's really quite effective. This sort of pattern is called Saigaiha. I'll put the correct spelling up on the screen here, and you can laugh at my mispronunciation. And it's supposed to be like the blue ocean waves. This is one of the patterns I have seen an awful lot of Japanese designs and things, especially with ceramics. Yeah, it's very effective. Anyway, we're going to go on to the last area here. It's going to be very much more filled with the pattern that I'm going to choose, and it's going to be that pattern there. If you can see it just there, it'll make more sense when I actually start doing it. So again, I'm going to do a 1/2 inch grid in the center, and then I'm going to fill it in with the rest of the pattern. And now back again to the other direction. Ow! Ow! Right, and now I've done that basic grid, I'm going to do diagonals going across. You can see the pattern is starting to form in different places. And we are done. There we go. Just going to post some pictures up of the finished thing. Let me know in the comments down below what you think. There we go. That's my labour of love from the last couple of weeks. It's taken me quite a while to do it. I don't know how many hours I've worked on this. I'd love to know what you think of it. Let me know down in the comments below. Have you done any sashiko yourself? Have you had a go at doing a sampler like this? I'm quite pleased with how this has turned out. I think what I'm going to do is either I'm going to put it into a frame, or I'm going to put like a border around the edge. So this pattern here was called Komeno Hanazashi. I'd love to see what you've created. So if you do have a go doing this or something similar, please share it with me on Instagram or on Facebook. The addresses for both in the description down below. I definitely say this has been worth it. I would like to revisit again sometime soon. In fact, I'm planning on doing a second part to this video, so stay tuned for that. If you want to make sure that you get to see that, subscribe to my channel and put a little like on there as well. And also don't forget to click that little notification bell so that you don't lose us on the internet. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed it, and thank you very much for watching, and bye bye.